You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. Welcome to episode 20 of the Upland Rookie podcast. I am your host, Will Larson, and as always, this is presented by Upland Brits. Also presented by Eukanuba Sporting Dog. If you want to get everything your dog's got, then you need nutrition that holds nothing back. To help unleash your dog's maximum potential, check out the new Eukanuba Premium Performance lineup at eukanubasportingdog.com. Also brought to you by Trinity Bretons, home of the Épagneul Breton, also known as the French Brittany. All Trinity Breton dogs are from champion bloodlines that are field tested and family approved. For over 32 years, Trinity Bretons has worked to offer you the best bred Épagneul Bretons in the country. Check them out and learn a whole lot more at trinitybretons.com. Also, thank you to Pointer Traditions. Pointer Traditions is making some incredible dog collars, bird straps, gear, clothing, you name it. Check them out at pointertraditions.com and use promo code ROOKIE15. Yes, ROOKIE15 is going to save you 15% off your order at pointertraditions.com. Eagerly awaiting my collars and bird straps to be in or get here in the mail. So really looking forward to getting my hands on those. Lastly, I promise this is not going to be super long with the good folks that I'm talking about, but Cable Gangs, doing a big giveaway with Cable Gangs, Brennan Landry over there. We're giving away a 2 or a 3 dog system on the Cable Gang system. So your choice, 2 dog or 3 dog. The giveaway's ending on, we're going to announce the winner on September 1st. September 1st seems appropriate. We're kicking off the season. Maybe you can't get out and chase birds September 1st, but you can listen. You can find out if your name is going to be drawn for the giveaway. So we're going to announce that on over at the Upland Rookie Instagram page. So check out my page there. Check out Brennan's page, Cable Gangs, Gangz, for all the details. Find out if you won. We're going to announce that on September 1st. So, guys, speaking about September 1st, who dove hunts? Does anyone dove hunt anymore? Maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just a southern thing, New Mexico, Arizona. I don't know. Where do you dove hunt? I know it sounds like a stupid question. I know there are some dove hunters here in Colorado. There are some places I guess I would know where to go actually, but it just doesn't seem super popular. I think it'd be fun though. I think it'd be fun as hell. I haven't got out and dove hunted myself. I definitely want to. It's on my list to do someday. I don't know. I just didn't get around to making the plans to go dove hunting. So, but I know a lot of people love it. I think it'd be super cool to do. I love hunting with my dog, so I might attempt to try to bring a dog with me to dove hunt, but we'll see how it goes. Gage is a decent retriever now, so I think he could handle it. But anyways, if you dove hunt, let me know. Write in. Where do you go? I don't know. What do you look for? That's the thing. What do you look for dove hunting? Like, do you just pick a corn edge, or I don't know? Just let me know. I'm actually genuinely curious on dove hunting, what that process is like. So definitely want to get out and try that someday. A couple things to recap my weekend. And as always, would love to hear what you did this weekend to work on your bird dog, work on yourself. What'd you do to push forward and meet your goals this past weekend or this past week? I don't care what the time frame is. But I took the dogs out. We ran on some birds this weekend. Sitting conditions were awful though. I mean, like no wind, real bad. But they had a decent run. Yeah. So it wasn't ideal. Oh, so Gage, I was able to do, so we had no wind. And so I was just going to do some stop to flush with him. again, taking him through the breaking process the last couple months. And he's had a couple where I thought he was good. I thought he was like going to take 12 steps forward, but then he took a couple steps back, metaphorically, I guess. So we've just had to kind of take our time with it, make sure we're doing the groundwork correctly. So stop the flush was one of those things, or I would say new locations also, where he was real steady on some of my training grounds. I'd throw a bird. He was super steady, doing really good. When we took him back to pointed birds, he would get a little happy feet and get a little excited and take a couple, steps forward. And so this past couple weeks, to be honest with you, the thing that helped propel him forward the most is I took about a week and a half or 2 week break, honestly. I did a couple things in there with some birds, but I actually kind of scaled back on the bird work and the command lead. And I think that week and a half, 2 week break, man, he came out guns a-blazing when we took him back to pointed birds. And he's been great, really steady, not taking steps, not lunging, not chasing, anything like that. So he's been super solid. I was super excited. So this past weekend, no wind, so I put some pigeons in a trap, and so he before he got to the scent cone, if there was any without the awful wind, we released that pigeon, and with no collar pressure, no verbal, he slammed on the brakes. When he saw that pigeon go up. After he was already stopped, I threw a couple from the bag and still stood there. And so we did that about 2 or 3 times. And man, I was really excited, really happy with that progress. I feel like we're finally taking some steps forward. My plan with hunting him, I do want to keep him steady. And so the first couple fields, I'm going to just be really focused on his steadiness, to be honest. That could change in the moment while I'm out there, but I really do want to keep him broke. I don't want to create bad habits when we're back on wild birds. So I'm just going to be really cautious and cognitive of what he's doing over my priority of shooting the bird. I think first couple times I'll work on that to make sure he's at where I want him to be, and then game on. So I don't know. That might be a bad strategy, but that's kind of where my priorities are. I got Win and Gunner to hunt early season, so I'll put them down and have a blast trying to shoot birds. But with him, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on his steadiness. So anyways, I also gave him a haircut this weekend. That was real fun. Woe training actually comes in handy with trimming your dog, so that made it easier, but giving a dog a haircut is always not fun. So anyways, that's what I did this weekend. What did you do? Write in at the Upland Rookie Podcast on Instagram, or just email me at Upland Brits. Love to chat hunting. I'm going to be on the road here in a few days hunting. So I'll have some time to get back to messages and all that kind of stuff. So hit me up, let me know what you're doing. Would love to hear. Hey, speaking of trips coming up, I just want to talk a little bit about packing for a trip before we get into the interview today. A couple of things as I was going through the packing process again for my trip coming up here to Nebraska. One of the things I thought it's pretty important is pack early, like pack a couple days in advance. I know that might sound silly, and the wife, she gives me looks all the time. She's like, "What are you doing in the garage again?" Honestly, it gives me some couple days. So if I start kind of pre-packing like a few days ago, and I'm already a few days out from the trip, so probably a week before my trip. Well, as I'm packing, I don't know. I have the time and the space to process like what I'm missing. And so then, I packed a bunch yesterday, and then I'm laying in bed last night and I kind of was processing, and I thought, I'm missing AAA batteries. Okay. It gives your time, or it gives your brain some time to process what you might be missing versus just packing the night before, being crazy in, try and remember, oh, do I have this? Do I have this? So that's just for me, kind of a hack is just pack early, pack slowly over a few days. I've found it to help quite a bit just with not forgetting things. Sure, it's happened, but for me, it's worked pretty well. A couple other things with packing is 2 pairs of boots and 2 pairs of pants. You may have heard me talk before about my first hunt last year, the season. Got my pants soaked the first day, got my boots and socks soaked, and I didn't have a second pair of either, and it sucked. So take it from me. Make sure to pack 2 of those. It's going to help you if something gets wet or, God forbid, torn or something happens. Have a backup pair, because that was pretty miserable. Walking around in the sandhills with wet boots, and it was and I shrunk my boots as well because I cooked them over the fire. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, couple other things. More water than you think, guys. More water than you think, especially these early season hunts. It might seem excessive, but you don't want to run out of water for yourself. And I think more importantly, your dog, they need water even to cool down. So I'll be using water, if they're getting hot, I'm going to be, putting water under their underarms, their belly, getting them in those spots where it's harder for them to dump heat. To cool them down. So pack just more water. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt them if you don't use it all. Just have it just in case. Kind of similar, pack more shells than you think you need. I've been on a couple hunts where however many shells I had wasn't enough. Or it was getting very close to not being enough. And it was in my head. I was worried. I was like, and maybe that's good or bad. Maybe it makes you be more selective on your shots. I don't know. But just in case, especially with shells right now, just pack maybe more than you think you need. Again, it can't hurt. Worst case scenario, you come home, put them back in the safe, not a big deal. So those are some of the things that were kind of running through my head as I'm packing for my first trip of the season. But would love to hear what's on your schedule first for September. Maybe it's dove, maybe it's chasing sharptail, prairie chickens, whatever it might be. Let me know. Write in. Would love, again, like I said before, would love to chat, hear what you're doing this year. We are going to dive into today's episode. I'm really, really excited for this one. Brandon Moss. We had a great conversation, just catch up a little bit with what's going on with him personally, hunting Montana. We talk about weather conditions up there, the drought. Talk about Brittany's. Brandon is running some fine Brittany's up in Montana area. And so, we had a great conversation. Brandon and I have stayed in contact for a little over a year now, maybe. Definitely probably more than that. He was I just want to say personally, Brandon, when I was going through all my health stuff last fall with my back, also with my daughter a few months ago in the hospital, he was constantly reaching out, just seeing how we're doing, seeing how my daughter was doing, and just a really good guy, just really encouraging, kept my hopes up, kept my spirits high when I was flat on my back but a year ago with some issues. So thank you, Brandon. Really appreciate that support, and I have not forgotten that, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you do as well. Are you in the trials at all? Have you done trials with your dogs?
No. Basically, I just go out and I just hunt with my dogs. That's it. So
is that what you would call meat dogs? Is that the appropriate term?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say meat dogs. They're just my dogs. That's all they are. And so I take them out. Like, one of my favorite times is August, when I can go out and just, there's nobody around, and go work dogs and birds and stuff like that. And so I don't worry about field trial, and I don't want the competition. I just want to go out and enjoy my dogs.
Yeah, that's a good approach, man. So I started out just want hunting dogs. That's all I want. And I still do. That's my primary goal. It's always going to be my primary goal, but I have been dabbling in the hunt tests. And now I want to try a field trial. So I've been going through the breaking process with Gage, and I've had my days where I'm scratching my head going, why the hell am I doing this? Because it can be frustrating, training dogs, working dogs can have its headaches. So there's days I'm like, I'm just going to keep keep my dogs as hunting dogs, but
Yeah, there's one of my Brittany's right there. No.
I was going to say it's a strange looking Brittany on camera
Yeah.
there.
No, that's my wife's dog, so she's a little mini pin. But yeah, no, I worked after high school a little bit, I worked for a field trialer out of Texas, and then we came up to North Dakota, and his name was Gary Pinalto. He's an English pointer off. We did it off horseback as horseback field trailers, and he was one of the more well known field trainers around. He won nationals. So that year he actually won nationals with one of our dogs down at Ames Plantation. You know, the big one off horseback, and he won everything. So I worked for him. I did a lot of field trial dogs. I was around field trials a lot, and it just, I don't mind competition. I like competition. I don't want to competition with my dogs.
Sure.
So
you just enjoy the fun aspect of it, getting out there with your dogs.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you said you worked for them. Were you training dogs, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I trained dogs with them. So so I graduated high school in 98, and that was in 2003 ish that we won that. So yeah, it's 2003 he won. So it was like, I think it was 20 or 02, 03 that I worked for him.
Oh, right on.
And we're down in Texas. We'd be down there. Summertime would come up just 10 miles off the Canadian border in Columbus, North Dakota. And we had about 50 dogs that we worked. Wow. There's 3 of us. And so we just get up in the morning, go field trial dogs or go run dogs off horseback. Yeah. Evening time would work the gun dogs.
Okay.
And that's all we did. It was fun.
So I'm guessing you picked up probably quite a bit of knowledge and experience.
Yeah. I mean, that guy knew his dogs. He'd won everything. And he had been around dogs for years. He had won everything. He knows how to train. I picked up a ton for him. And then I did some training. I came back here. I did a kennel business on my own after that. And I was doing pretty good. I got to the point where I was going to buy the land and build my own kennel and do it full time. And then I worked with emotionally disturbed youth, and I worked with the 16 to 19-year-old boys. And those guys were like, seriously, like I worked with the murderers, the pedophiles, rapists, gang members, all that stuff. And so when they would go off and you'd have to restrain them. And anyways, we had to restrain this kid. The staff messed up on what he was doing and just took out my lower back, like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's that started there. It's still like, it's never gotten any better. It's gotten worse over time. And so that's why I don't remember if I told you or not, but so over time, like my back got worse, my weight went up, my back got worse, my weight went up. And so I had a gastric bypass in March. Did I tell you about that?
Oh yeah. We talked when my daughter was going through a bunch of hospital stuff, I think we started talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had that gastric bypass down in Vegas, came home 2 days later, and I was just ton of pain. Everything. I was like, told my wife, something's not right. Take me to the hospital. They're like, yeah, there's a blockage. We got to go back in and do surgery.
Oh, geez.
So when they go in to go do surgery, they went through my old incisions. They couldn't see my bowel was inflamed like 10 times its normal size. So it burst right there. So they had all the way up. Yeah. Take everything out, clean it out, reroute my bowel. My intestines, when that blockage was so bad that they couldn't even fix it. They just had to cut out my intestines.
No way.
Yeah. So then I went septic. And then my kidneys started shutting down. They're throwing IVs on me like crazy. My heart couldn't handle that. So my heart went off. And like over a 5-day period, all this was going on. Then the infection set in and they had to open me back up and get all the infection out and everything.
Jeez.
So I was in the hospital for just shy of a month.
Oh, dude. I didn't know you went through all that. Yeah. We touched on it a little bit, but I didn't know it was that intense.
Yeah. No, yeah. They say that I should have lived. There's no way I could have, but
that's intense. Jeez. I
did, and I'm working dogs, and I'm doing everything. So,
good for you, man.
Yeah, a lot of prayers went my way.
Absolutely. And that was just in this past March?
Yep. March, okay. Yep. And so since then, with the gastric bypass, since then to now, I'm just over 100 pounds lost.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. So it's really good. Yeah. And
that's awesome. That's awesome.
People ask, like, do you feel different? I'm like, I don't know, because my body's still healing. Like, I still got the wound. I've still got bandages on it and stuff like that.
Wow. So yeah, because that's really not that long ago when you think about it. And if you're out working dogs, man, and getting ready for hunting season, good for you.
Like, I just can't stop. Like, I can't stop working dogs. August is my favorite month. Everyone's like, I can't wait till September, till bird season starts. I don't care if I shoot a bird. I just want to go out, work for my dogs, and have fun.
See, that's I'm going to circle back to something I'm going to say in a second, but because I think you and I, when my back went out this past fall, we talked a little bit. I think you were kind of reaching out, and my back issues are no fun. And I remember laying flat on the couch. I was in the hospital for a couple of days, finally got home, and I was just pissed off because I couldn't go work my dogs. I couldn't get out, couldn't play with my kids, couldn't hold them, all this stuff. It takes you out. And it's a frustrating feeling. It's also a humbling feeling to help you realize, like, I'm just so blessed. I can get up during the day, get up every day, play with my kids, work my dogs, go to work. You take the little things for granted.
You do. Yeah. Like with my back, like in every second of every day, I'm in pain. And there is so you get angry, you get depressed, you get everything. And it's been going on since 2008. And there was a period of time when it first started, I was really bad. And I was like you, like in the hospital a lot and stuff like that. And I talked about this on that show I did with Onyx a little bit. My wife she'd be, she was pregnant with our second child. She'd come, the second or third child, I can't remember which one, but she'd get my truck, put the kennels in it, 8 months pregnant, load the dogs up, get me in the truck, drive me out to where we'd go walk dogs and just walk them and take them out there and do things with them and come back. And I was like, I remember looking at the truck, and the truck was probably like 200 yards away. And I'm like, I don't think I'll make it. I'm just going to die right here and stuff like that. And so she'd be back there. I'd get to the truck and she'd be back there, put my dogs away and everything like that. She really, really kept pushing me. And so I just kept pushing myself. But the problem was I got up to 384 pounds and then my back was just trash.
Sure.
So, you just like majorly get depressed. And there's like a huge connection between chronic pain, weight gain, and depression. And so those three just
don't play well. Yeah, they don't play well together.
Yep. So working dogs, just that drive to go out and be in the field. And I do a lot of big game hunting too. And but mostly bird hunting. That's what I love to do. Like I said, August is my favorite thing because it's just you're going out working dogs. But like my ultimate dream someday is to do a sheep hunt wild sheep in Alaska and Canada and stuff like that. So,
that'd be sick.
Yeah, I love it. Love to do that. Sheep hunters are a lot like bird hunters. They're not out there for that. They are there for a trophy. They want a trophy, but there's more the spirit and the experience. Like of what you see, the spirit you just to be out there and seeing something new and be in new places and challenging yourself. Yeah. That's the same way I am with birds.
Yeah. I actually wanted to circle back to that. You talked about August being your favorite month. And again, because you're not carrying a gun at that point, you're just getting to work your dogs. Talk about getting to that point, because I think every new upland hunter when I started, all that was on my mind was shooting birds. That's all that was. Sure, the dogs, I love that part, but I was so focused on shooting the birds, the birds. But even as I go along now, the point of just watching good dog work, watching them do their thing, being out in the uplands, that's what is now even more satisfying for me. Like, talk about to someone out there who's just getting started, like, how do you kind of get to that point of being okay without shooting a bird?
So, yeah, I mean, I think my younger years, I was like, I just wanted to get birds and stuff like that. And that was part of the fun for me. Over time, it's just evolved for me that I just want to be out there and enjoy things. And, shooting a bird is ultimately what we're out there to do. We're out there to hunt birds, and we're out there to find some food to put on the plate and everything. But I've gotten to the point where it's just, you lose all that just having to kill something drive and just be out there and enjoy the dogs, the experience, the land and everything else, and just seeing what you're seeing out there. And so I actually sometimes feel guilty because, like last year was a great bird year, and I wouldn't shoot very many birds, and the dogs would just be pointing, and I'd never shoot. And, occasionally I'd shoot some, and then I'd take my buddy out and he would shoot some, but it just, to me, it's just like, it's a stress reliever for me to be out there. It's just a place that I have to be all the time, and killing birds isn't part of it for me anymore. I still shoot birds. There's times I still enjoy it. I get a good point. I get, like I had 4 dogs out today, and during the season, if I go out there, I get a point and 3 backs quite often I'll get that, but you just go out there and it's just a beautiful dog work and you shoot the birds and the birds bring it back or the dogs bring it back to you or just whatever, then it just all comes together and it's just a beautiful moment for me. But it's just as beautiful for me just to see the dogs pointing, the dogs working. I was watching my young dog today. Well, I call them young. They're 3 years old because I got a couple older dogs. So I was watching those dogs work today, just constantly pushing themselves and everything else. And so it was just the experience for me. There's no pressure about finding birds or anything like that.
That's awesome, man. That's so well said. That's so well said. I love that. Let's actually kind of circle back to your dogs a little bit. I know we talked about training a little bit. I actually want to jump into training first because we touched on you worked for that field trialer. So are you training all your own dogs now? Or are you using a pro trainer? Like what's that process like for you?
No, I'm still able to train my dogs and I've always done it. And so, I've never used another trainer, and not that it's a bad thing. It's just, I like to work my dogs my way and I can do it and I enjoy it. It's fun for me. I occasionally will take on another dog to train for somebody else. But I got some old dogs. I got my younger dogs. So I got my old male Tough, and he's 14 years old. And then I got a female, and I think she's going on 7. And then I got, I personally have one pup out of him. Well, it's my 11-year-old daughter's dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she loves him. His name's Gary, but then I got another dog.
Sorry, real quick. You kept a pup out of your 7-year-old female?
Yeah, my 7-year. So I bred those two, and I kept a pup out of it. And then my buddy has one of the other litter mates to him, but basically he stays at my place all the time during the summer and hunting season, stuff like that. So he's basically my dog, and then after the hunting season, he goes to my buddy's place. So so those are the dogs that I have. The 14-year-old, he's still going. I had him out today. We did, from the time we left the truck till we got back, was about 2.5 hours. He worked birds the whole time.
Nice.
Was out there looking, isn't walking by me. And so he goes, he's deaf, and thank goodness for GPS, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to hunt him. So he does pretty good.
That's pretty impressive. 14-year-old out there still working. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I had his mom till she was 17, and I was still working her.
No way.
Yeah, and I put her down that October because I knew that winter was just going to be too hard on her. Mm-hmm. So they kind of, for some reason, those guys live a long time and keep going at it. They got a strong drive, and I don't know. He's my old man. He's my buddy. And,
that's awesome. And how's the, quote unquote younger ones doing, the 3-year-old, the puppies? Good. Yeah. So my daughter's dog, Gary, he's a really nice dog. I really like him. He's doing real well. He had some real good points today. He's coming along. Last year, his first year, he wasn't doing so well. I wasn't too sure about him. I think it's because I personally, broke his confidence a little bit hunting him. I put all 4 dogs down together when I'm out. And so I didn't take enough time working him by himself. And so I think he broke his confidence a little bit. And then last year it was in August again, I was working dogs, and he goes on point, and some pheasants got up, and then he goes a little bit further and he goes on point, and he's about 180 yards out, got there, held it, and about 15, 20 sage grouse got up. And after that, he was just like, okay, I'm into birds. Oh, wow. Like, I want this. I can do it. I can compete with these guys. And so he just went at it, and he goes at it. Nice. So his litter mate, that's my buddy's dog. He's probably the best dog that's ever came out of my kennels. He's a really nice dog. Yeah. So that cross was a real good cross, but they're too old or the male's too old. I could technically still breed the female, but I don't know if I will. Okay. Anymore. She's getting about that age. Sure. What's the strategy with doing 4 dogs down on the ground at a time? Gosh, I got so much time that I can work dogs, and I want to get the most groundwork for each dog I can. So I put 4 down at a time.
And this country up here like in Montana and these western states, you have huge, big country,
Hmm.
and so I can hunt it with one dog and I can do just fine. I can hunt it with two dogs and do just fine. I can hunt it with four dogs and cover a lot more ground.
Yeah, you can cover
Ultimately,
a lot more.
yeah, ultimately it comes down to I get more ground time for each dog when I put all four of them down.
Okay.
So, and I'll hunt all four of them for uh, days on end sometimes. Like we'll do it all day long for 4 or 5 days in a row.
That's like Benno Williams style right there.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
puts as many down as he can.
yeah, yeah. So when I'd hunt in younger years, he'd have 9 or 10 down at a time
Holy cow.
between our dogs and his dogs and stuff like that.
I was listening to him. I think I re-listened to an episode of his. I think it was maybe on Nick Larson's podcast or someone. And does he still not use e-collars?
So I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him in years. He and my dad were good friends years back, but so
I remember him saying
talked.
that on the episode or something. I know he didn't use GPS for sure. I couldn't remember if he used e-collars or not still. And he's like, yeah, I just train my dogs to come when I call them. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty old school, and that's the way I used to be. But I've gotten to the point where I like to have that GPS collar on him at all times.
Yeah.
So I lost a dog. In fact, it was that 17-year-old. I lost her overnight one time.
Oh.
And yeah, so it wasn't too many days after that I had that Garmin Alpha.
Yep.
Headed my way.
Gives you that reassurance because you put so much time into these dogs, their family members, you put a lot into them. And so I want to just have tabs on them at all times.
She was one of my best friends, and tell you what, there's not much that can make a grown man cry other than bird dogs and your own kids.
Yeah. I would agree. So we talked all about your dogs. And just for the listeners, what kind of dogs are they? I know what kind they are. Okay, Brittany's.
Yep.
All right, Brittany. So why Brittany's for you? What got you into them?
I grew up with them. I've had all dogs. I've had all breeds of, not at all dogs, but like the pointers, the setters, the short hairs, and some other stuff here and there. But I grew up with the Brittany's. I've always had them. I can still find good lines of Brittany's, and so I just stick with it. I've toyed with that idea. Maybe I'll get a pointer and throw it in there, but ultimately it goes back to one pointer takes the place of one Brittany. That's
true. You just can't give up that Brittany spot.
Yep.
I get it. All right. And then, so, I think that's all on the dogs I want to touch on. We already talked about trials. You're not really into trials and stuff. Oh, I know I was going to ask you, sorry. What level of steadiness are you working your dogs on for your hunting style and what you do?
So I let my dogs go at the flush. Many times, I've trained a lot of dogs steady wing and shot, and there's advantages to it and there's disadvantages to it as well. But my thing is, when you go up and a bird comes down wounded, a lot of times you lose the bird out here. This is some big country, and they just run, and you'll lose those birds. So I want my dogs on top of it as quick as possible. Even though they're not the best retrieving dogs, they will always go to a down bird, and if it's running, they'll stop it.
Yeah.
So.
That's what Gage has done in the past. Is he hasn't been a great retriever, but he at least will either pin it somehow, he'll pin the bird, or stand over top of it, or something to stop it from moving. So at least it gives you a better chance of recovering that bird. Yep,
that's so I let mine go at the flush.
Yeah,
and it's just the way I've done it and always done it, and I probably always will.
That's awesome, man. Let's talk about, so you're up in Montana. How's Montana looking? I know we talked a little bit earlier, definitely dry, definitely, hot. What's it kind of look like up by you?
Yeah, it's pretty grim this year. It's looking pretty bleak. So unfortunately, it's sad to say, because last year was such a great year and I had some high hopes that this year would even be a better year.
Yeah.
But we had, so last year was statewide, the sharptails were everywhere. There was good huns, good pheasants, and decent amount of sage grouse. And so then we have our mountain grouse too. But for the prairie birds, we have those four.
Sure.
So our winter was very, very mild, so we had no winter kill. We're looking at, birds from carryover when I was out and about, there were so many birds carried over from last year. And so it's like, oh man, if half these birds put off a clutch, then we're gonna have just an incredible bird year. Well, the drought came in, the hot weather came in, we had hail that killed a bunch of birds, and so going out there, I'm not finding a lot of birds. There's still birds around. You're gonna find pockets of birds, but it's gonna be pretty hard hunting this year for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of miles you're gonna be walking, right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you primarily just stay in your home state, or are you traveling outside at all, or do you have any plans to travel outside this year?
I want to do Texas with some friends of mine. They got some places down there they go hunt. I'd like to try. I don't know if I'll get there this year or not, but late season chucker hunting in Idaho,
Okay.
or Nevada or somewhere like that. But I don't know if I'll get that one done. So I'm hoping to get Texas. If not, I just, I can get out 3-4 days a week in Montana here, and so I just kind of just go for that. Spend as much time in Montana as I can. I do like to travel to other states. I've done Nebraska and Texas and stuff like that, and Wyoming and things, but mainly I stayed in Montana because I can hunt so much here.
Sure. We have so many good options. You have so much public land, all that good stuff, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you and I have talked quite a bit. You've been a great resource for myself, actually, just understanding a little bit more like Montana regulations, land access a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about the different land access options and specifically the BMA land, type 1 versus type 2, and then some of the other programs that they might have? Yeah.
So, for public access, like number one, if you're coming out here, Western states, Montana, number one thing you need is onX. You have to have it. It's a necessity. It's like bringing a shotgun is my thing. You open up so much land to you, and a lot of times you won't be able to get on private land. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. The good thing that we have about private land, as we talked about, is the BMA, the block management. And we have, like you said, type 1, type 2. Type 1 is they have a box there. You go up, you fill out a card, you rip half the card off, it goes in the box, the other half goes on your dashboard. And then you return it at the end of the day, talk about what you did. Type 2, you have to go to the landowner himself or themselves and get written permission slip from them. And so it'll cover a certain amount of dates, and from it'd either be depending on how the landowner does it. It can be sometimes they do it just that day. Sometimes you say, hey, I'm going to be here for a week. So they'll do it for them for a whole week from, like the 1st to the 7th or whatever. Sure. And you have your permission slip there with you. If you do type 1, where you have to fill it out yourself, you have to re-register every day.
Okay. Every piece of land you're on, right?
Yep, everyone. So yeah, okay. So you got to be real careful. Check it out, and this is where onX will help you, because onX has the layer on there that tells you if it's block management or not. So a lot of these times you'll see this big area is block management, and you'll see block management signs, but it might be 2 or 3 different block management areas, and so you'll need to sign in at each one of those areas.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
is that all dependent on who owns that land? So 3 different owners, the land could just kind of intersect a little bit weird. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of times I'll go in and I'll have to sign in at 2 different boxes or 3 different boxes, and I'll park my truck at one, and I'll hit 2 or 3 different block management areas in that, that walk that I do.
Gotcha. And then type 2, just going back to type 2 for a second, because I think that's probably the type 1 seems pretty straightforward. Type 2, is it that, because it's basically like a reservation system, is that right? Where you have to contact ahead of time.
Not always. Most of the time, that's the best thing to do to assure your spot and save time and everything else. But some, if I remember right, some of them don't have phone numbers on theirs. They don't want to be contacted, so you just have to go there and get permission. Some of them have it set up where they let in X number of people a day. they'll let in, 5 parties a day or whatever. Some of them have it's just you come get your permission slip, and whoever comes and gets it, you can hunt the land. So, so the reservation thing is a good way to go if you can get it. But some of the landowners just don't want to deal with that, and you just have to show up. They want to know who's on their land, talk to people, and you just show up at their door, knock on it, and they knock on their door, and they fill out a permission slip there.
Okay. And are as the hunter, are you bringing your own permission slip with you?
Nope, they have a booklet there.
Oh, okay.
And the boxes, they have a booklet too. And I think I told you, like, kind of a little trick that we learned, and is you make up before you come, make up the a little stickers that you can print off yourself that has your name. So on those slips, you have to put your name, your address, your truck, what kind of vehicle you're driving, the license plate, and your ALS number. And so the easy thing to do is to have stickers made up beforehand. So you just whip those off and stick it on there, especially if you're signing into 2 or 3 a day. Saves a lot of time and it's pretty darn easy.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And you told me that a couple weeks ago. I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it just saves time. So sometimes what I'll do too is I'll use Pheasants Forever sends out those stickers.
Yeah. Address labels or
the address labels. So I'll use those too.
There you go. get creative. Do something with those.
Yep. So
I think some of our Christmas cards last year went out with Pheasants Forever labels on them.
They got to be good for something, right?
Oh, 100%. But with the hunting you're doing, just kind of a random percentage, what land are you mostly hunting? BLM land, BMA, or private?
So this time of year when I'm working dogs is probably 95%, 98% public land, block managed, or not block managed, BLM and state land. There's a couple, I got a rancher friend that we've known for years, and I'll cross his property and stuff like that. But I try and just mainly stick to the public land, the state and BLM. It's easier. You don't have to worry about things and stuff like that. During the season, I will go to block management areas because technically you're not supposed to be working dogs in the off season on those block management.
Okay.
So you can call or you can stop by and get permission. If they're fine with that, then that's fine. But usually they open September 1st. Some of them open August 15th because our archery antelope opens then.
Oh, okay.
So some of them will open then, and some of them will open September 1st. So I just stick to mostly public land, and then come later in the season, I'll go on some private land, maybe like 10% of the time.
Okay.
So, and a lot of it's just to cross into some public.
Gotcha. Okay. This question's rattled around in my head a couple different times. With sharptails. So last year was my true first year chasing sharptails. I had a blast in Nebraska. It got me hooked on grouse. But I've heard early season, they're young, they're dumb, they hold good. Later in the season, so like October, November, do they get really jumpy where they're harder to hunt, or is that just a myth?
Yeah, they do. But they're not. So the myth is that they're impossible to hunt, and December sometimes is one of my better sharptails months.
Okay.
When it's cold and stuff like that, and you still get on them. It's a pretty neat deal. You'll get these dogs on point, and you'll get the birds will flock up then, and you'll get 60, 70 birds up at one time.
Okay.
But then you just keep working, and the dogs will go on point, and there'll be a leftover bird here and there. But just stick with them. You watch where they go, and it might be a mile or two before they land. And so you just watch where they go, and then you just head that direction, keep on them, and you'll get them. You'll continue getting birds and stuff like that. But early season typically they hold well for dogs. They do great. They're a good bird to work on. August, September for your dogs to get used to. October, they're still, they don't hold quite as well, but they still hold within gun range and stuff like that. Come November, when the cold starts getting there, you'll start seeing them moving a lot more, and you'll see them, like, you'll actually be driving, and you'll look up, and it looks like a whole group of pigeons up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so there'll be, 5, 15, 20 say sharptail flying around.
Okay.
And so I think they do it just to stay warm, keep the
Oh,
body heat
sure.
going.
Yeah. Stay together, more eyes, more
Yeah.
protection.
hmm
And then
So
how about Huns? Are you again, I'm asking this from a perspective of my perspective, going up there this year, chasing them, kind of going in blind. Are you finding sharptails and Huns in the pretty much same areas, or are you targeting separate areas for those birds?
both. So some areas are like, this is a real good hunt area, but most areas you'll find sharptails and huns in the same area. Like a lot of places, there's been times before, and especially early season, where a dog will go on point, and I'll get four species of birds up in one point.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty neat to see. And usually for something there's something there. The feed's really great and draws them all in,
Sure.
something like that. So but there's a lot of places, most places you can count on that you'll find sharptails and hunts together, but sometimes you just find sharptail in those areas because that's a native bird, it's their native land, and the hunts haven't adapted to that area as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And then sage grouse, is it just close your eyes, pick a sea of sagebrush and start walking?
No, no. It kind of seems that way because you'll look there and you'll look out and you'll be like, "Holy cow, look at this!"
Where do I start?
Yep. And so, like, let's see. For instance, I'll take a time last year that I was working dogs, and it was in August again, and I looked at this area. There was some grass, and then there was some sage, and in between there's a lot of grasshoppers in between them, and so between the two. And so I started working that area. The birds in the early morning would be in the grass. By about 9:30, I'd find them in the sage, and would find a good 50, 60, 70 sage grass out in that sage. So it was a particular grass that they're in that was holding good feed for them. It had number one, it had good hoppers in it. Number two, it had good voluntary alfalfa in it.
Oh, okay.
And so I'll look for sage this time of year, typically that is next to some kind of CRP agricultural area where you'll find that voluntary alfalfa and that the grasshoppers if they're there. But this year's a little bit different year because a lot of these areas that I've worked, the cover's just trashed from the drought and everything else. I mean, it's like the Dust Bowl days.
Jeez.
Yeah, in some of these areas. So I talked about the areas that I got into a lot of birds last year and there was none. Those are a little bit on a typical year. That's what I look for sage grouse cover. I'll look for sagebrush that has a lot of grass within it. And so you kind of what you'll find yourself is weaving in and out of the sagebrush instead of like just having to push through it.
Okay.
That thick stuff typically doesn't hold them as well and stuff. They want places that they can go out and chase grasshoppers and have some freedom to move
Okay.
and stuff like that. So a little bit more open sage, some of that taller grass. But this year, after working that time where I didn't find any birds and I would have found good birds last year, I started thinking in the area like where's a little bit not super thick sage, but a little bit thicker sage that holds a little bit more cover. So I go to those areas and I found a few sage grouse in those areas.
Nice. That's really good, man. I haven't heard that aspect of you talk about like the grass and the hoppers and that kind of mix. I haven't heard that actually spoke about before. So that's good to know.
Yeah. So what when you hear like if you're reading about sage grouse and stuff, and they're reliant on sagebrush. They have to have sagebrush during the winter months and early spring.
Because that's what they're eating, right? They're eating the sagebrush.
100% of their diet is the sagebrush. But this time of year, they don't hardly eat sagebrush. I don't think you'd find sagebrush in them. You'd find the leafy greens.
Okay.
And some. So that's why I look for the voluntary alfalfa. I'll look for there's these just I don't even know what they are, but they're like a little green plant that lays flat on the ground. They'll eat those. Sometimes they like dandelions. If you can find a good dandelion field, those have a lot of food to them. But then if the grasshoppers are real thick, they'll they'll get in those. But what I kind of find is, so like a few years ago we had chickens, and I watched those chickens chase grasshoppers, and I let part of my lawn. So we're on an acre, and I thought, I'll let part of my lawn grow and not mow it, this back two corners, so the chickens can get in there and get food,
Sure.
get the sage grass, or get the grasshoppers. And what I'd see is they'd go in there and they'd try and get the grasshoppers, and then pretty soon they'd come out back to the open area.
Huh.
And so they really had a hard time in that thick grass that wasn't mowed, getting the grasshoppers, because they couldn't run and chase them down.
Oh, interesting.
And so I started started thinking about comparing it to what I've seen with sage grouse, and I think they want a little bit more open sagebrush areas when there's grasshoppers around to chase.
Right on. Interesting. Nice experiment you did there.
Yeah. I just like chicken eggs. That's all I want.
Yeah. Oh, we're the same. We live in the burbs, so we're allowed to have, well, I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast. We are technically over the legal limit, but we got big families. We need eggs.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, the hail came and killed all of our chickens.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh geez.
So we just never replaced them.
Okay. No, their chicken eggs are awesome. We're getting a plenty right now. We're getting some to our neighbors finally, and
yeah, nothing like it.
Which is nice. Yeah. They're awesome. All right, a couple more things as we wrap this up a little bit. Talk about, at least from your Instagram, seems like your daughter's pretty involved in the uplands and in dogs and hunting. Is that true?
Oh yes. So I always say that I got three daughters. She's 16 now, then the other one's 13, and then my youngest is 11. And I always say I'm not missing anything by not having a boy. My daughters are into sports. My daughters are girlies. They do their hair. They dress up cute. They do all that stuff. They're into sports. They go hunting with me as much as they can. They love it. They talk about it. You sit there. I talked a little bit earlier about how I want to do hunt wild sheep someday. And there's four species of sheep in North America, so that you can show them a picture and they can tell you what each one of the sheep species is. And they can just go through and tell you like what kind of birds are out there and stuff like that. The bird gets up, they'll tell you what it is. They love it. And so they're all into it. And my youngest always thinks she's picked on because she has to, wait, and everybody else is doing, the other two are doing their stuff, and she doesn't get to go out and do what they're doing. So she's hunted deer with me. She hasn't hunted birds yet. I always wait till they're in Montana. They can do what's called an apprenticeship program. And at 10 years old, they can hunt deer, turkey, and upland birds. And I'm not sure about waterfowl. But anyways, they can do upland birds, but I don't let them hunt birds until they're 12. There's just a lot. I feel there's a lot of maturity between that 10 and 12 years age.
Sure.
And I don't want anything to happen. With a deer, I can set them up, put them on some.
You're stationary.
Sticks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can be right there in control of it all. With birds, there's just too much happening. Yeah. But yeah, they go with me. They look forward to see what they draw for big game.
That's awesome.
They got their own guns and everything else. And I talked about my youngest daughter. She's got her own bird dog.
So is that who owns Gary? Your youngest daughter?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. My youngest daughter, Adeline, owns Gary, but
that's
my
awesome.
Oldest Tegan and Taylor, they love to go hunting just as much.
Yeah. So, talk about that process of getting them into it that much. Was it just starting at a really young age, introducing them to things, or how'd that go?
Yeah. So, my oldest didn't want to hunt with me. And, I used to have to trick her to go with me. Like I'd get everything set out in the truck and everything. I'd be like, hey, come on, let's go do something. Just you and I. And she's like, okay. And we'll go somewhere. She's like, what are we doing? I'm like, oh, I'll tell you when we get there. And so we'll be driving. She's like, she'll be looking around. She's like, we're going hunting, aren't we? I'm like, yeah, we're going hunting. Hopefully she'll like it. So she never really wanted to hunt with me. And so my middle one wanted to go with me. And we had a little trailer that we pulled as my dad and I went up on this little hunt. And I gave her anything and everything she wanted. She slept. She got to go camping in the trailer. She got whatever food she wanted. She got to steer the truck. She got to do whatever she wanted to do and have a good time.
Yeah.
It was the best trip. So she comes home and she's telling her mom about it, all this great stuff and everything. And my oldest daughter's sitting there listening to it. And then she turns to me, she goes, hey, Dad, do you think sometime you and I can go do that? I'm like,
There you
oh yeah, we sure
Oh,
can.
there you go. Well
Yeah.
played.
Yeah. And then the youngest just naturally,
Just kind of
she
fell into
followed
it.
that. Yeah. So yeah, so I just started them off at a young age, and you know, I learned a lot having to have the kids out there, and learned a lot taking my wife. That is, it's a little bit different than the way I hunt, and so I had to really alter my way of hunting quite a bit.
Hmm.
And so I like to, my aspect is I like to go all day, just be out there walking all day long. And if I did that with them, they would hate it.
Right. They'd be like,
So
this is not fun,
yeah,
Dad.
yep. So I had to alter it. We had to go, we had to go bird hunting. We had to take the 22 so they could go shoot at prairie dogs. So, just stop and have the food we had to have, I'd eat just on the go. No, we had to sit there and cook a fun little meal for them
There you go.
and everything. So, and get them to enjoy it. Now, I think if I took my oldest out now, I think she could go. She's
Go
at the
longer.
point, yeah, stuff like that. The younger two will get there, but I really had to alter my way of how I worked with my daughters, how I was hunting out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're saying it. You got to make it fun for them. You got to make it enjoyable, where you're not, you know, dragging them through the field where they're like, okay, this is not my version of fun. You're altering your plans. You're adapting to make it enjoyable for them.
Yep. And kind of a tradition of ours is the first time you go out hunting on your own, when it's your turn to hunt, which is deer. So the first time you go out there hunting deer on your own, you get to drive the truck or you get to drive the truck for the first time.
Nice.
So they want to go because if nothing else happens, they get to drive the truck when, on those back roads.
Yeah. And that might be the highlight, and that is totally okay.
Yep. Yep. But they're just spending time out there with you. They're having fun. I remember my middle daughter's first year, I fell asleep in the truck and I was asleep for a little while. And I come back to my phone as all the contacts are renamed, and I have pictures of some random person off the internet for this contact and that contact, and just they're laughing and having a good time with it. And there's just good time that you can't find elsewhere.
Absolutely. My almost 5-year-old right now, he's probably the most into it out of everyone, the dogs and training and all that. And a couple of days ago, I noticed he found this like random, one of his sisters, probably like little Barbie bags or something. Well, he's stuffing like stuffed animal birds into it, and like his bird bag.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm like so proud. Like,
yeah.
I've reached my life goal.
Yep. Ice cream and sprinkles for that kid.
100%. 100%.
So, yeah. No. Something else I figured out too is I found was important is to get them their own stuff. Their own clothes, their own boots, and I didn't get them real expensive boots and stuff like that. So they had their own things, and then I'd get them their own gun when they started hunting. And I know I talked to a lot of guys. It's like, well, I want to wait and make sure they're really into it before I go buy this stuff, invest it. And it's like, well, if I didn't invest it, I don't know if they would have been into it.
Yeah, you might miss that window of where they're really eager, really excited to take it up. So that's a good point.
Yeah. There's enough stuff that you don't have to buy the tip top best.
No, right.
Yeah.
You got options out there these days. I feel there's so many good options of gear and clothing and, all sorts of stuff. We got my son, I think Christmas last year, we got him a little, what is it? Like a PSE mini burner compound bow.
Oh yeah.
He's got a little target in the backyard, man. He has a blast, and both the boys use it. Even my daughter shoots it a little bit, and they have a blast with it. It was, $100 so bucks, but all three of them are using it and taking turns, and it's been a blast for them.
You don't even think about the money after you start watching them do that stuff.
Oh, 100%. And my 7-year-old, he's the one, he uses it the most, and he starts at 5 yards and he goes back to 10 yards, and he's slowly going further and further.
Good for him.
Yeah. And our are you? So I probably need to move the target, but the target is right next to the chicken coop. So one of these days there's going to be a flyer, and those chickens might not make it, but
You guys will be having chicken for dinner that night.
exactly. Yeah. Sunny or pizza. All the chickens are named after food.
Oh, nice.
We got pizza, Sunny, pancake, flapjack, and I forget the other one's name, but
Yeah, no, we named our chickens too. I don't even know where we got our names. Chuck Norris was one of them and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I don't. It was fun. Yeah, but yeah, you're gonna end up with a dead chicken one of these days.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
What do you? So Brandon, I know you work. Talk about your work a little bit. I know you work a little bit with some cool companies like Mud River, Boyd. Talk a little bit about that, and maybe share what you can on maybe some possible new products coming out sometime soon.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm a contractor, and I work with like you said, Boyd, Mud River, and then so Boyd owns a few different companies, but the main three that I work with are Boyd, Mud River, and Goki Boots. And so Boyd has been it's kind of a company that's special to me. They've been around since 1901. The history of them is the Boyd brothers started making harnesses for horses to be used out in the field, real high class, high end harnesses. And then the war came around and they started making gun supplies for the government, and then they carried it over to the private sector and stuff like that. So they just kept going. They've always made a real top notch, good quality products. They're really well known for their gun cases and have some good ones there. But growing up, my dad, he had a few guns that were special guns that had Boyd cases that went just with those guns that he really wanted to protect, really wanted to be taken care of. Somehow my brother ended up with those, but that's fine. So anyways, I grew up just in kind of, like there was a few things in my dad's, in our life that were really special, and Boyd gun cases were one of them. And so, so their products, are great high end. Then they bought out Mud River, and Mud River's, the kennel jackets and everything are really great kennel jackets. We got a bunch of other products there that we have with Mud River, and then Goki Boots is a company that's been around, I don't know how long, but they speak for themselves. They're one of the.
And did Boyd, are Goki and Boyd, did Boyd buy a Goki?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So Boyd purchased both those companies and has done pretty well with them. So we are basically reigniting the Upland line, and I can't talk a lot about what we're doing. We're going to be coming out with new products. I am overly excited about the new products. I'm kind of the guy that sits there and I just dream. I think about my family and I think about hunting, and that's about all I think about. And so I sit there and just look at, like I see all this stuff happen in the big game world and stuff like that, and be like, man, people could do this stuff with the Upland world and do that. And I'd sit there and I have like all kinds of notes that I would just take, just kind of, I guess, nerdy me, but I got a chance to put those notes together in some of the products we're building and putting together. And so for both Boyd and Mud River, we'll be coming out with some new products here, hopefully in the near future. I don't know if we won't get them out by hunting season. I'm hoping we'll get them out by SHOT Show, which we should be able to.
Okay, right on. So, when's SHOT Show? Is that later fall?
I think it's in January.
Okay.
So
kind of wrapping things up.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if we can get them out before then, that'll be great. But there's times are different right now with the.
I was just going to ask, have you guys, your work that you're doing, have you seen a big effect from, again, just the pandemic and all that kind of stuff with supply and all that?
Yeah, so being the contractor, I don't get to see a lot of that side of it, but I know that it has affected the company somewhat. And so the manufacturing side of it and things there, but we still got plenty of products. I think what's on our website, we have, and everything is in stock if it's on our website. So we still have plenty that's available out there.
It's awesome. Yeah, I was just looking for a new gun case a couple of days ago, and I was looking at those Boyds, and those are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So the traditional Boyd gun cases I've seen, they have like that basically full zip around. I have one actually behind me the tan one. It's got the outer pockets, really nice. But a buddy of mine just showed me a picture of one that it opens. There's like a flap on the end that folds out. Is that a different style?
Yeah, there's a different style. Does it have kind of like a little buckle at the end that it buckles down? Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So that's one of our other styles. Yeah, that's one of our other styles that we have. And
nice.
It's a real nice one. All of them are nice, good, high quality. I think that one just eliminates the zipper to it.
Sure.
But our zippers are great though. I mean,
they're heavy duty for sure.
Yeah. The ones my dad had since the 1950s are still going.
Yeah.
So they're just good quality zippers. And that's one thing I invested in them is, I wanted to invest in a gun case that's going to last me forever.
Yeah. You can pass it down to your daughters,
Yep.
As you get older, they get, into hunting and pass down some guns and gun cases. And
yep.
That's what it's all about. It's awesome. Yeah. No, I rock the kennel covers as well. The Mud River kennel covers, and those things have held up great.
They're incredible.
A few seasons, I got the insulated ones, and because my dogs, throughout the year, their kennels are in the garage. I sleep in their kennels. So winter rolls around in Colorado, and it can get. We get pretty cold temps, and throw those kennel covers on in the winter, and they're fantastic.
I do the same thing. Mine sleep in the kennels all year long, or not all year long, but all winter long, and you never have to worry about them. They're in the garage. They're in those kennel jackets. Yeah. And a lot of times I don't even zip them up all the way because it gets too hot for them.
Same. There's been times I hunted in Nebraska last year in the winter, and I think I left them the dogs in the kennel overnight. The hotel was just crowded and whatnot. It was just easier. So I left them in the car. And I remember it was like middle of the night. I was like, I'm just going to go check on the dogs. And I zipped both our kennel covers up all the way, and I opened them up, and it's like almost too warm in there. And this is a 13-degree Nebraska night. And I was like, dang, I'm gonna unzip these a little bit.
Yeah, no, there's like a heat wave that just comes out right at first.
Yeah,
the dogs, and what's interesting is you don't think about it, but it dehydrates the dogs during the winter.
Totally.
And so you gotta those things are so well made, and they last forever, and they're just a great kennel jacket. But do you keep yours on in the summer too?
I don't. I take them off in the summer.
Yeah. See, I keep like even now when I'm out working dogs, I keep mine on because it insulates the, I take the flaps off. So there's wind coming through.
Oh, sure.
And then I roll up the front. So the sides are open and the wind's coming through, but that gives extra insulation from the sun as well. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So they have, I find that they're a lot.
It would probably stay. It's probably going to stay a little cooler then because it's not absorbing that. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
So I leave mine on year round. It's just if the sides are on or the sides are off and the flaps up or down.
Yeah. Oh, interesting, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Last question before I always end on a rapid fire section. So we'll go over that in just a second. But let's talk to someone out there who is maybe just heading into their first upland season. Maybe they just picked up their first bird dog. Maybe they're just getting into this crazy thing that you and I are so addicted to. What would you say to them? What would be some advice you would give to someone just getting started?
Just don't worry about everybody else. Like, don't compare yourself. Don't see where they're at. Don't worry about it. Just go out there and have fun. And you might go out there and you may not see a bird for how many ever times you go out there, but wait until you do find a bird, wait till it all comes together, and then you'll see how it feels. You get even though it may not be that your dog did the best, but you found where the birds are at, and you get that little bit of pride, like, hey, I actually did it on my own. And then you get your dog out there and your dog does go on point, and you walk in and flush the birds, and it's like, hey, I found those birds, my dog pointed them, there's nothing greater than this. Don't look at the guy that's been doing it for years upon years and has access to private land or knows all the places to go. Don't compare yourself to them. Go out there and have fun on your own. Be yourself.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
Don't worry about everyone. Don't compare. Yeah. Compare too. Like, Instagram can be great. It can be a great tool, but I think we all can maybe struggle a little bit with, that guy, or this person. I think just focus on you and your dog, enjoy your own experience, and set your own goals
Yep.
and expectations for yourself and your dog.
Yep.
Don't do someone else. Don't try to live someone else's expectations or goals.
Yeah.
Make your own goals. If you find one bird this year, make that a goal. Great. And that's stick to it.
Enjoy where you're at.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well said, man. All right. So a couple rapid fire questions, just kind of off the cuff. Give me your answer. If I always tell everyone, if you have to expand on anything, that's totally okay. It's not against the
All right.
rules. So, all right, Brandon, what gun are you carrying out into the uplands this season?
So I'll have 2 guns that I'll carry, and both of them Brownings. One of them's Satori White Lightning, and the other's an old Superpose. And I think we did a show with On X about my dad's gun, and the Superpose was my dad's gun, and then I got one that was the modern day equivalent to it, was the Satori.
Okay.
So mainly, I take the Satori out. It's been beat up and used quite a bit more. The bluing's coming off it and stuff like that. It's starting to wear off. But I do take that Superpose out sometime. Now, we talked about this a little bit earlier too, about passing things on down to our kids. Well, I got 3 daughters and I got 2 shotguns that I love. So I told my wife I need to buy another one.
I mean, it seems reasonable to me. So
yeah, so not one kid feels left out.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gosh, that other kid, you'd have to like give that kid all your dogs, all your other stuff to make up for that.
So I'll just go get another shotgun, and there we go. We're taken care of.
Taken care of, absolutely. And you'll have to shoot it. You'll have to, get some experience with that new gun. So
yeah, I know. I already got it picked out. I'm gonna go get that. Go to Upland Gun Company and get a 20 gauge side by side. Okay. All I shoot is 20 gauges.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm the same. I have 12 gauges, but I love my 20s.
I don't think I've never shot a bird with a 12 gauge.
Really?
20 gauge and 410 are the only 2 that I've ever shot with.
Okay. Wow.
So
I believe it. I can't hit crap with my 12 gauge semi-auto. It's a Benelli Montefeltro. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. I don't think I'm confident with it. And I can't hit anything with it. I'm terrible.
So I've seen some guys with 12 gauges that you don't even want to mess with. They can hit everything.
Oh, sure.
And stuff like that. But
it's all just what you're comfortable with and what you got confidence in. What's so I'm not going to pretend like I know what the Superpose is. What's the big difference between that and a Satori?
So the difference is basically of when they were made. If you held one in one hand and one in the other, you think you'll have the same gun. So it's their Lightning, their light one, 20 gauge. They both got pistol grips with round knobs on them. And so I think my dad's was made in the 50s. I think his was 55, if I remember right, but I don't know for sure. And so at some point, like I think in the 60s, and I don't quote me for facts here, but in the 60s they stopped making the Superpose, and then a little bit later they brought in a new line of the Satoris. And they make all kinds of different Satoris, but this one's the Lightning, their light one and stuff like that. They've made some others that are a little bit lighter over the years. But so it's the modern day mirror image of what my dad had and what I watched him grow up with.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My buddy, I think Matt Harrell, he has a 12 gauge Satori. I'm not sure if it's a Lightning or not, but he loves that gun. It's 12 gauge. He shoots it with lights out. And so,
yeah,
they make good stuff.
Yeah. They're a good gun. There's a lot of good guns out there though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just ordered a few weeks ago what is it now? Not a Silver Pigeon.
The Beretta?
Nope, not the Beretta either. Crap, I'm blanking on the name. I have a Franke Instinct right now, 20 gauge. It is. I'll look it up here. It's gonna drive me nuts. It's been on like order for like 2.5 weeks now. So,
nice.
When I ordered from Sportsman, it said, "Oh yeah, it'll be here by I think it's like August 5th," and it's been like way longer.
August 5th.
Yeah, oh yeah. So
they lied.
We'll see. We'll see when I actually pick it up. So, all right, couple more. Favorite dog breed besides the Brittany?
If I didn't have Brittany's in my kennel, I'd probably go with the English Pointers and English Setters.
Okay.
So my Brittany's work a lot like they do. Cover quite a bit of ground, and a little bit harder to run and stuff like that. But I've actually toyed with the idea of getting a pointer in my kennel.
Yeah, they're cool looking dogs. They
Yep.
cover some ground too.
Yep. And there's some real nice ones out there.
Can we dock their tails though?
I've tried it, but my friends will never let me doctor. I tell them their IQ will come up and the dog will take a little bit of their tail off.
Just
but
take some of that tail off. That thing's like what, 2.5 feet long?
yeah, yeah.
I don't want my beer spilled all over my coffee table every night.
Oh man, you get whacked with those things. Sometimes it hurts.
Oh jeez.
Oh.
We used to have golden retrievers growing up, and man, those things were wicked.
Yeah, I know those little tails. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna get so much hate for that.
Yep.
All right. Favorite bird species to hunt and why?
Might surprise you, but not sage grouse. It's huns.
Okay.
And so I love huns. They're a challenging bird. They sage grouse and sharp tails and everything else still get my heart going and still make me happy, and I still enjoy watching them. Something about huns that make your heart skip a few beats, and they get up and they go, and then they're fast and they're out of there. And so the way I've had to work on hunting them and the way I've had to hunt them, figure out it challenges you. A lot of times you don't get shots off on the first time you see it, the first time you get them up. What you have to do is you have to just watch them, mark them down where they go, and after 2 or 3 jumps, a lot of times they start getting tired, and you can start getting some shots on them then.
Okay.
So, but when I say that, you can shoot out a covey real quick when you start doing that. So make sure you're ethical when you do that and take just the 1 or 2 out of a covey and then move on.
Gotcha.
So, but I love them, and when I'm looking for bird land, that's what I mostly look for.
Right on. Dang, man, they sound like a fun bird to hunt. Definitely on my list to try to get one this year. So,
well, hopefully you can do that.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, couple more here. That question does not apply to you. Beverage of choice after a hunt.
After having my surgery, I can't have anything but like water, pretty much.
Okay.
So I go with water. So
there you go.
Yeah.
You're the second guest to say water.
Yep.
Yep.
I love water. It used to be Mountain Dew, but I loved Mountain Dew.
Oof. So, that sounds good.
Yeah. In fact, I loved it so much to my junior prom, I wore a Mountain Dew shirt to the prom.
That's commitment. That's commitment right there.
Yeah. I was all there, but,
there's not much better. If you can find a Taco Bell and get a big old Mountain Dew, that's a match made in heaven right there.
Yeah, it's neck and neck with bird hunting right there.
that's like for me, that's like my bird hunter's like gourmet dinner right there.
Exactly.
especially if you weren't successful or didn't have a great day, man, that Taco Bell makes everything better.
Yeah, wait till you get up here, getting these western states, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and stuff like that. You go out to these small towns, cafes after a day of bird hunting, and you sit down in one of those and get a burger and some fries or tater tots.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate meal right there.
There you go. Tater tots, man. Oh, that's good stuff right there.
Oh, yeah.
My kids will go through like a bag of those.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome, brother. Well, cool. Brandon, how if people have questions or want to follow you, keep up with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you or Instagram?
So Instagram, I'm Upland 406, and they can. I've got a few messages today of people just sending me pictures of their dogs or whatever. I enjoy seeing that stuff. I enjoy people that enjoy the upland hunting and tell me about it and stuff like that. Facebook, I'm just Brandon Moss, and I think there's a picture of a dog or something on there. The other thing is, I got my emails brandon@boydharness.com. And, part of my work there is I do the guide and outfitter program. So if any of the guide and outfitters want to, get in touch with me, go ahead and send me that email, and I can work on getting you set up there with our guide and outfitter program. But yeah, those are the best ways. Send me messages, send whatever you want, and I'd be happy to get back to you.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, we're excited to see, again, maybe have you on in a future episode, maybe after SHOT Show or something, talk a little bit more about some of the products.
When these products come out, I am more than excited to talk to people about them and tell them about them. And so we got some neat things coming out. We got some really good products, and I'm think a lot of people are going to be pretty happy with them.
That's awesome, man. I'm super excited. I also remembered the gun I ordered. I know how bad is that? It only took me 5 minutes. A CZ Field Supreme 20
Okay.
gauge.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So that's bad. I couldn't remember my own gun I ordered.
Yeah.
It
So
happens.
that one's pretty light, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's just at 7 pounds, maybe like 6.9, something
Yeah.
like that.
I'm getting that point where that's kind of why I want to go that side by side, where I just want to go lighter and lighter.
Yeah.
So
yeah, my Franke Instinct is, I forget how much that weighs. It's definitely under 7. It might be like 6.5. I have the LX.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's so much. I mean, you can't even compare it to a 12 gauge, but I shoot it well, and it is what it is. So it's a good gun.
I want to see if I can get in that 5 pound range somewhere in there.
Dang.
So
what are your Satori at, and what's your other one?
I think they're like 6'7".
Okay.
They're right around there. But again, don't take that as a fact.
Yeah. We're gonna have some fact checkers out there.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah. That's okay. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm married with 3 daughters. I get told I'm wrong all the time.
It happens. You gotta get used to it.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Brandon. Thanks so much for your time tonight, man. I really enjoyed chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit more. So this has been a blast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a good time, and I'm looking forward to coming back and talking to you more.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, good luck getting those dogs ready for September, and I'm sure we'll be talking more.
You too, man. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Thanks.
Well, that is a wrap of episode 20 of the Upland Rookie Podcast. Brandon, thank you again, brother. That was a blast chatting with you. I think a really appropriate timing of this podcast. September is just around the corner. Season is about to open for many of us. And so really appreciate your time sitting down with us, talking bird dogs, talking Montana, all that good stuff. Hey guys, don't forget, leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps get the podcast out there to more hunters and bird dog lovers just like you. So rate and review Apple Podcasts. Other than that, guys, have so much fun. I might not talk to you. Well, I'll talk to you next Tuesday. But some of you might have some trips in between then. So enjoy, be safe, enjoy those bird dogs, keep them healthy, keep them safe, keep them fueled up well. Can't wait to hear and see some of these stories that are coming out of early season upland hunting. Hey, don't forget, if you are not hunting with a Brittany, it's okay. Don't worry, for real. It's just fine, because any bird dog is better than no bird dog. Go put some miles on those boots. Enjoy.